maybe we should say a few words just about another important vote, which was in Michigan, with over 100,000 people casting their vote for uncommitted, sending a message to Genocide Joe that he's not going to have their support for supporting the Israeli genocide. And there are now widespread reports that actually this is really worrying people inside the White House, because 100,000 votes is a lot of people, and in Michigan, that will certainly make the difference in against Trump, because this is, after all, a swing state, and margins come down really to very, very, very small amounts. Certainly, a lot less than 100,000 people voting uncommitted.
This vote was organized, and I know you've covered it on Useful Idiots in more detail, but this vote was organized in 3 weeks. This was spontaneous, grassroots. It's one of the most remarkable political protests I've seen in a primary campaign that didn't involve a candidate. There is no candidate. It's that guy Dean
Phillips.
Dean Phillips. I mean, what is that?
Yeah.
I actually interviewed him once in Congress, and I said, what do you think about the Trump administration coup in Venezuela with Juan Guaido? And he said, well, I'm going to wait for the briefing, the House Foreign Affairs briefing, before I form my opinion. So
AOC said the same thing, basically. She said, I'll defer to the party leadership on this, which meant supporting the coup. Yeah.
So, the population of Michigan knows better, particularly the Arab and Muslim population, where they have the highest number. They know better than to give away their vote to someone who's committing genocide, in many cases killing members of their own family. But it's not just Arabs and Muslims. I know this. Anya, my wife, our colleague, she's from Michigan. Her family's from there. Members of her family voted uncommitted. They are not Arab or Muslim. And many people in Ann Arbor, where she's from, did. Joe Biden lost Dearborn by like 80% to uncommitted this time, though. He received over 80% of the vote in Dearborn in 2020 and 4% this time. So this sends a clear message, and it's a message that the White House is not acknowledging. Have they said anything about this? Issued any statements?
No, and in fact, there's an article out, I think, in the Washington Post today about how the White House is working now to insulate Biden from any pro-Palestinian anti-genocide protests, like trying to limit his appearances now so that he won't come across people calling him out for supporting the genocide, as he did recently in Virginia, where he gave a speech and it was interrupted multiple times. So their only response really is to try to insulate him from further criticism.
Yeah. And interacting with people. Like, imagine Biden's face-to-face with a Palestinian who has lost family in Gaza. It wouldn't be good. And he'd probably shout at them and blame Hamas for the deaths or something, as he's done with many other people. So this lack of response and lack of acknowledgement shows how little Biden and the Biden administration and the Democratic Party establishment cares about their own constituents, and about winning this key swing state. Who does Biden care about? He cares about Haim Saban and Casey Wasserman, Hollywood moguls who hosted a $250,000 a head fundraiser for Joe Biden earlier this month in Beverly Hills at the home of Haim Saban, who said, I'm a one-issue guy and my issue is Israel. These are ultra-Zionist mafia dons who are top donors to the Democratic Party. And that's who Biden is answering to. Biden raised a record $42 million in January. He's raising huge amounts of money because he's actually effectively catering to the donor class, the 1% who largely support genocide in Palestine. And that's who he's going to continue catering to all the way to November. So this protest in Michigan, it's going to go to Chicago. And Biden, he's not going to respond. So what do you do next? What do you do? People have to start exiting the Democratic Party and looking at third-party candidates like Jill Stein, who is urging voters to sign a no genocide pledge. I would put it to a lot of liberals I know. What if Joe Biden declared, as he has sort of said over the years, that he opposes abortion, that he would support the Supreme Court's Dobbs decision and take away a woman's right to choose whether or not to have an abortion. He said at points that he's, not pro-choice, but he goes along with the party line very strongly. And he's obviously not in control anymore anyway. But what if he did that? What if the Biden administration said, we're anti-abortion now? They would not vote for him. Most liberals, especially liberal women, the kind who came out in huge numbers to protest the Dobbs decision, it would be the protest we saw in Michigan. It would be like that on steroids in every primary state. So some of us have a red line with genocide and with apartheid Israel as well. And so we're drawing the red line. And they're going to have to pay the price for that. And the Democrats have to know at a certain point, they're going to have to change their policy on Israel, which is that aid to Israel must end and Israel must be sanctioned, or they don't receive our votes. It's the only way to get it done.